Next guest, Three Arrows Capital and Voyager Digital filed for bankruptcy. Peter Thiel backed Vald, paused operations, and Bitcoin crossed below the $20,000 level. Let's welcome Mike Novogratz, Galaxy Digital CEO. I want to see how he looks, whether he looks wan or whether are you losing weight, are you eating, are you drinking excessively?
We're at our new offices, and you can see it's pretty Spartan here.
It is. What, just off the top of your head, do you think we're near a low at this point? Because 40 wasn't, 30 wasn't.
I think we are near low.
Support-wise to 13,000. Do you think we
نشوفوا واش القاع ديال واش صافي تسالى ولا مازال غيهبط.
When the water, went out of the tide went out, what we saw was lots and lots of excessive leverage at centralized crypto companies, ironically not online companies, not on-chain companies, guys like Celsius, Three Arrows, BlockFi, that just had unbelievable amounts of leverage. And so we've now seen a lot of these file or put up gates, basically clear bankruptcy, and you're having this massive deleveraging. I think most of that deleveraging is out of the system. We're engaged in a lot of conversations around people that needed capital. And so the new capital that will come into crypto will literally be kind of recapping some of these companies or asset sales. And so we're going to go sideways. Listen, could we go lower? Of course we could. It feels like
هذا الشيء اللي قلت في اخر فيديو اللي ما شافهاش يمشي يشوفه.
For you to go much higher, you need the narrative to re-pick up and you need new capital to come in.
الشركات اللي طاحوا ديرنيغمون سالسيوس وفواياجر يقدروا يلقاو شي وحدين يحطوا فيهم فلوس ويتعاودوا يطلعوا تاني دونك تقدر تكون همزه فيهم.
You worry about, when things like this happen, it's systemic problems and it kind of spreads, but do you know SBF? I think it's cool that the guy has just initials, SBF. He's almost like MBS. I'm JRK, which unfortunately is jerk. But Sam Bankman-Fried, he's everywhere. He's got his hand in everything. He's white knight, he's customer, he's lender, he's stepping in here, he's stepping in there. You know him? Is this a good thing?
I do know him. Listen, he is aggressive. He's smart. He has been smart to keep the cost of running his business very low, right? He kept it offshore. It's very automated. And so he's making, it appears he's making his play to try to consolidate a bigger and bigger retail franchise, right? From staking Robinhood to going in for BlockFi. How do you touch the retail customer? Listen, what's different about crypto and normal markets is they're not a lender of last resort, right? In crises, in the long-term capital management crises, the Fed came in. Like, crypto doesn't have the Fed. And right now we have a Fed that's still hiking, not cutting. And so that 30 to 20,000 really was this deleveraging, or 30 to 18,000 was this deleveraging of a system that was far too leveraged. And, shame on lots of the players for running, what is just irresponsible, not just leverage, but asset liability mismatch, taking consumer deposits in, overnight and lending them out as long as 3 or 4 years.
Well, I thought, okay, so you got
ديال الغلطة ياخذوا فلوس ديال الناس وكيسلفوهم الناس اخرين.
Government bailout, JP Morgan 1907. These were like centralized institutions. I thought DeFi was like decentralized. Why do we want one guy involved in all these things? And something that supposedly that's the whole appeal of it is that it's decentralized.
You absolutely don't in the long run, right? And what you saw through this
ما يبقاش واحد اللي كونترولي كل شيء. إلا كانت أصلاً ديسنترلايز تبدا الجوفرنمنت ما مقابلهاش. كاين حتى شي واحد اللي زعما حاضي ولا البوس ديالها.
It was the centralized. Look at Celsius, for example. No one knew how much leverage they had, or Three Arrows Capital. I mean, quite frankly, I think when all is said and done, there will be accusations and prosecutions for fraud. There will be, gross misconduct in some of these companies when you just look at the amount of both leverage and interlending that went on. And so that's why crypto originally, the original reason for crypto was more transparency. And ironically, we had centralized organizations, on top of all the crypto. And that's where most of the problems showed up.
And it seemed like there was also
ده وين
centralized
نجي
risk in
المشكلة؟
terms of the projects that a lot of these players were involved in. I mean, the spectacular collapse of Terra and Luna. I mean, you're a big backer of Luna. You've got a tattoo. Do you still have that tattoo, or are you working on getting rid of that thing on your arm?
I still have a tattoo. It's a good reminder that you're not always right.
But the point being that so
ندير
many of these players
ندير
that you're
تاتو
talking
ديال
about
تيرا لونا
that
خصو
had too
يحيدو
much leverage were all in on this particular stable coin, this algorithmic so-called stable coin and the sister token that had a spectacular collapse. I mean, the risk was concentrated in that way as well.
What we saw, and I think what hopefully doesn't repeat itself next cycle, is a horrific breakdown in risk management at companies that you would have assumed would have understood what risk management was. Listen, there are hundreds of tokens. Some are going to win and some are going to lose. And to have huge concentrations of loans, or it was just greed, right? People got into the UST because they were providing 18%. You don't get 18% for no risk. And, that stablecoin ended up not working. Losing a small amount of money is reasonable. Losing your shirt is unreasonable. And, it's the same thing with loans to Three Arrows Capital. Having them as a counterparty, reasonably thought they were a reasonable counterparty. Betting the firm on it, not reasonable.
for Voyager, yeah.
So if you sort of draw this argument out and follow to its logical conclusion, Mike, I mean, isn't there inherent risk in having a single player in the crypto industry, regardless of whether it's Sam Bankman-Fried or somebody else,
Or Gary Gensler.
or whoever,
Have
such
ask about that
a concentrated presence across the industry here? The risk being that, he makes a bad investment.
Let's keep it in perspective. Crypto is still close to $1 billion industry, and Sam Bankman-Fried's total holdings is a fraction of that. And so while he's a charismatic player and he's an important player in this moment, relative to the whole crypto space, he's just not that big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to the aforementioned. You know all these people. They talk about a web. Did you work with Gensler?
I worked with Gary in Hong Kong at Goldman Sachs. I did.
See, all you guys are it's very incestuous. Anyway, the journal, Gary Gensler's Bitcoin land grab. What's happening? What is the rationale about a spot ETF when you've seen ETP sponsors and others where it seems to be working pretty well? Journal seems to say that if he can't be in charge, if it's not going to be under him, he's just not going to let it happen.
Yeah, listen, I know Gary. I taught his class once at MIT. He's a very smart guy. When he went in, I had great hope that he was going to be really positive for crypto. I think he has been very cautious and worried, and I'm guessing this sell-off only emboldens him. And it's been frustrating. Listen, I don't want to overcome it. We're with the SEC right now in our S1, S4. It's been a long and grueling process for all the crypto companies trying to get through. Very different than the Jay Clayton administration. And so, yeah, he has not been the prince of crypto as what everyone was hoping when he came in, because he does understand.
Well, then then what are you saying? Why then? If you understand what's the rationale for?
You're the political analyst.